Wonder Woman 1984 is a long-winded mess of a movie with a weak script, shoddy CGI, paper-thin characters, a morality message that makes no sense within the scope of the movie, a wasted Chris Pine, and Patty Jenkins looking down on comic book fans. Other than that, it's a great movie. Seriously though, the only way I can think of how one might enjoy this movie is thus. Turn your brain off, think of it as a golden age comic book story. You know, those stories where Wonder Woman uses BDSM to turn corrupt businessmen into patriots, or when a Nazi plots to destroy America's milk supply so Nazi kids can beat up malnourished American kids, or when Wonder Woman battles a gigantic evil communist Chinese egg. Those are actual stories that happened. So yeah, this movie story is one of those. Throughout the movie, there are glimpses of a good movie, but the goofy, incomprehensible plot and haphazard character motivations make this 2.5-hour long movie a real pain to get through. Honestly, I didn't enjoy long stretches of this movie. And when it ended, I was left scratching my head as to what was the point of all that. So with that being said, let's take a closer look at Patty Jenkins and DCEU, or whatever it's called now's latest installment in Wonder Woman Does Things in 1984. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and maybe hit the bell icon too, or I'll come and choke you with the lasso of truth. You'll probably like it. What the hell, man? A year that was so shitty deserved a better superhero movie as a send-off. Start from any superheroics on screen, I was really looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984. Why does this movie exist in a bubble which pretends like the last decade plus in superhero movies did not happen? Shazam had the same problem, but at least it was helmed by a competent director and had a great script. Wonder Woman 84 is less of a throwback and more of a throw it back to where it came from kind of a deal. Patty Jenkins tries to invoke our nostalgia for the 80s because for some goddamn fucking reason Hollywood has decided that 80s equals money. So this beat for beat recreation of Superman 2 feels less like Superman 2 and more like Superman 3. I was reminded of a number of movies while watching this, the aforementioned Superman 2 and 3, Catwoman with Halle Berry, but the movie I was thinking of most as I watched this was Captain Marvel. Now in no way, shape or form is Captain Marvel a better movie than this. That travesty is a whole pile of Nuclear Man's doo-doo. You know the time period setting thing? 80s versus the 90s, road tripping, there were similar vibes. But the major hurdle where Captain Marvel fell flat is the only place where Wonder Woman 1984 shines, Gal Gadot. I'm not a Gal Gadot fan at all, I don't really like her, but she is Kino as Diana Prince in Wonder Woman, whereas Brie Larson was a horrible Captain Marvel. She was just miscast. She's a great actress, but she was miscast. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I got used to this version of Wonder Woman. She has a $1 million smile that warms your heart and she radiates kindness and warmth. And yeah, finally after years of bitching, I now accept her as Wonder Woman. She gets the core of the character, unlike Tom Holland as Spider-Man. The movie opens with a Fall Guys style Amazon Olympics that looks more like an all-female led reboot of The Greatest Show on Earth, in which we see young Diana clearly violate the age limit and get into a race with older Amazons. Fun sequence, but then you wonder at the end of the movie what was the point of the opening sequence. She learns not to cheat, she learns that her time will come, and the world's not ready for what she's going to do. But seriously, what was the point of this elaborate Amazon Ninja Warrior run? The reason I'm talking about the opening bits of this movie is this because that sets the tone for the movie. It's campy as fuck, it's over the top, and most of the things don't make sense. The entire movie requires so much suspension of disbelief, which I was not willing to do, by the way, that it came to a stage where I started being super critical of every plot beat. The movie constantly keeps breaking its own rules, not to mention its own lore, and by the end I was not sure how Diana's powers worked, how Maxwell Lord's powers worked, or why the fuck did Barbara become Cheetah. You know the writing is lazy when, because you have to bring back a character from death, for contract reasons obviously, you introduce a Deus Ex Machina MacGuffin that can grant wishes. So fucking lazy. On the other hand, you have Pedro Pascal, who is having a hell of a year though, with various shows and movies on almost all streaming platforms. He's a dollar store Donald Trump here, he's a budget Trump. He's a TV personality, a failed businessman, and he builds a wall in Egypt. Pedro Pascal is a poor man's Lex Luthor from Superman 2, wants power above his station, is a product of toxic masculinity, and he ignores his son and goes after more power! Also, is it just me or is Pedro Pascal getting a lot of daddy roles recently? Kristen Wiig is an outline of a character. She's not a real character, just like an outline or an idea of a character. She's a nerd who has trouble making friends, but 41 minutes into the movie, the classic 80s trope of nerd to cool takes place and she looks damn fine in a black dress and fuck me pumps and proceeds to have sex with Maxwell Lord. Her motivations didn't make sense to me. It was all over the place. Both times. I can't talk about in details because this isn't a spoiler review, but trust me, she didn't need to be in this movie and it shows. She's the Zod to Gadot's Superman, and where Zod had motivations beyond I want to be cool and light, Barbara Minerva does not warrant any depth in the script apparently. Chris Pine was completely wasted in this movie. He gets a couple of fish out of water jokes that are okay-ish, but the way he comes back to life, I'm honestly surprised that neither him nor Diana ever questions that. Okay, you're gonna hate me. You're gonna hate me if you want, but spoiler alert. He takes over the body of another man, and if Diana didn't need to renounce her wish at the end of the movie, Steve would have continued to live on in the body of a guy with weird hair, essentially killing him. Diana never gives it a second thought, and neither does Steve. I mean, what the actual fuck? This guy had a life, an apartment, probably a job, and Steve was just gonna take over his life, erasing his consciousness from existence? But other than that, Chris Pine is charming and funny, and his only purpose in this movie is to be a teachable moment for Diana. So basically, he's the classical 80s heroine. The final boss fight is a Cirque du Soleil ripoff. I don't know what that was. They couldn't get more imaginative than that. Two women twirling on wires. The CGI and the wire work in the movie is atrocious. Wonder Woman feels like she has no weight at all. She keeps floating at weird angles that just feel like physics just doesn't work on her or some shit. And it's worse when she runs. And how does the movie end? With a big I am sorry. Escapism at its finest. The antagonist somehow sees footage of his young son wandering streets, beset by terror and panic, and decides, I don't want to be a bad guy anymore. I get the significance of Wonder Woman culturally. I recognize the desire for female roles that paint a rounded and versatile picture of the femme. That said, I hate complex characters being watered down for the sake of narrative digestibility. It seems to happen with femme leads far too often. You can't force a message down your audience's throat without a strong movie to back it up. There needs to be space for ambiguity to discern what the movie means to the viewer. Diana is already multifaceted, but that gets lost for the sake of centering this dollar store Donald Trump storyline. It's like diet anti-fascism or feminism light, and what's worse, it's been done better in her previous movie. People want so badly for this to be the clarion call for young girls who want representation, but instead, it's just another disappointing action flick. Overall, like I said before, there's a good movie here somewhere, but this overbloated mess of a movie with lazy writing, weak characters, atrociously bad CGI and wire work, and incoherent plot beats is just a relic of a movie. Wonder Woman deserved better. We deserve better.